Hi, Shawna Benoit here, and we're back with another episode with Andy Hartman from Hartman Law. Andy, I have another question for you.
Okay.
How should one take title to their home?
That's a great question, Shawna, and thank you for having me back. Often at the closing or very near the closing time, your buyer is going to be asked, how do they wish to hold title to the property? Mm-hmm. And most of the time, your buyer is going to have no real idea how to answer that question, right? They're not attorneys. They haven't been schooled on all the different ways that title can be held. There's two primary ways that we're going to offer title to your buyers: joint tenancy with right of survivorship and what we call tenants in common.
Okay.
In Georgia, unless you put joint tenants with right of survivorship in the deed, unless that language is there, by default, it's a tenant in common. Mm-hmm. So here's the difference with that. Joint tenancy with right of survivorship kind of goes how it sounds, right? With survivorship. So if one person on the title were to pass away, the other person on the title or persons would automatically, at the time of that death, become the owners of the whole fee, or the whole property, we call it. Mm-hmm. Okay? That is contrary to what may be in the deceased person's will. Mm. So let's say you have a joint tenancy with survivorship deed owned by Bob and Mary Ann. Mm-hmm. Bob's will says that any property he owns goes to his son, Tim. Mm. All right? In a joint tenancy deed with survivorship, if Bob dies, the whole property is Mary Ann's. Mm-hmm. Okay? It doesn't matter what his will says about Tim. Okay? In the case of a tenants in common, title transfers by the estates of the person who has deceased. So in that case, you'd have Bob and Mary Ann owning the property, and if Bob were to die, then his descendants or the laws of heirship in the state of Georgia would determine how title would pass. And in that case, in the same scenario we're talking about with a tenants in common deed, Tim would take Bob's share of the property and then would kind of own that property along with Mary Ann. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. Sure. If you have any questions on how to take title to your property, contact Andy Hartman or Hartman Law. Thank you.